Hello everyone watching at home, you're with Adelaide Eternal, I'm Beckett Wolfe and I'm bringing you some vintage today on Moto, and this is the list we're looking at. Feel free to save the screen there to look at the main board and the sideboard. Essentially we're playing Oath into RuneScarred Demon. I've done deck tech on this a long time ago and the deck's still really cool. It's vintage, it's not a very rotating format. I invented this one myself. Everyone seems to be playing Atraxa with Flash in Oath. I just think this is better because Atraxa is like 90% chance to win. I can't remember the last time I lost after resolving an Oath trigger, so this deck just does seem better to me. You Oath into RuneScarred. RuneScarred finds Time Walk. You Time Walk, you Oath again, you get another RuneScarred. Then you find a way to flash back the Time Walk using something like Noxious Revival or Memory's Journey. To shuffle it back in. Every now and then you'll mill the Time Walk and the Vamp and the Noxious Rival and not the Memory's Journey. It's just never actually happened to me. You can also, if you do mill those things, there's other stuff like Underworld Breach and Yawgmoth's Will. Breach is just slightly better than Yawgmoth's because you can loop it. So, you'll mill a Lotus or a couple of these mana sources. You'll find the Breach. This is assuming Time Walk's already in the bin. And then you'll cast all your mana, recast Lotus a couple of times, recast Time Walk 3-4 times in the game. Yawgmoth, same thing, except you can only do it once. But usually going Time Walk and then Yawgmoth's Time Walk is enough. Even if there's some weird wacko world where everything relevant gets milled except the Journey, you still got a free Demonic Tutor and a 6/6, so you're probably going to win. The deck's really cool. I recently cut Regrowth. The crew should probably be a Dig Through Time, but I don't own one. I could just buy it. The deck's got Oko, so you can give your opponent, it gives you a mid-range sort of strategy if your combo gets shut down or you get hated out. It also gives your opponent 3/3 creatures if you haven't found your Orchid to trigger the Oath of Druids, and it actually switches off stuff like Grafdigger's Cage. It's kind of funny when they play Grafdigger's Cage to switch off your combo. You play Oko, turn their Grafdigger's Cage into the creature to trigger the Oko. How's that for the Oath? How's that for irony? In the board, it's pretty standard board setup. We've got anti-artifact stuff, Catch-all, Abrupt Decay, plenty of graveyard interaction, Mindbreak Trap, Pyroblast. These are all just classics. So let's give it a go. Oh, and I got one show and tell there to bait out counter spells, putting in my Oath, or to put in runes cards that are stuck in my hand. So this is my opening hand, and we've got a turn 1 Oath. So I'm going to start with Mox Sapphire into... Yep, let's just go for it. This might seem a little bit risky in the face of Force of Will, but essentially Force of Will is either going to be always good in my opponent's hand, it's a pretty difficult card to play around, or it's not good in their hand because they're pitching something they really like. Either way, I've got a lot of ways to search for Oath, find Oath, dig for Oath. That's what the deck does. So I'm pretty happy to just play it out to counter spells a lot of the time, to be honest. Unless I know they're really getting value out of the counter spell, I won't bother. Wasteland here is perfect because we've already got our critter out, so we don't want to give them more critters. And we find Oko, which is that switching on that mid-range sort of strategy. Balance in this deck is really good. So we don't actually like Oath here because we don't have the green. We do like A-Call though, so we're going to keep it. And we're going to A-Call now. And yeah, I'll play this out. There's a lot of twister effects in this format, so just want to play my artifacts out now. I don't really know what my opponent's on. This Simulacrum card's new. It's an artifact sort of synergy thing, so I'm assuming they're on like a paradoxical outcome sort of deck. Wasteland though isn't really typical of the paradox outcome decks, but it's obviously some kind of artifact base. Yeah, balance is really strong. Yeah, let's just go for Oath. It just wins the game. I might preordain first, see if I can find a Force of Will. Bottom the Journey. Yeah, we'll keep DT on top. So that if this, you can see how if this one gets counted now, next turn I can just go DT Oath. So you can just like it's got an uncanny way of just keeping on playing Oaths. Yeah, balance is phenomenal because you give your opponent a lot of creatures. Because we've got the 4 orchards naturally in the deck anyway, I've just added one, or I think it's two mana confluences. The rest of the list is bug really, but I'm splashing 1 white for balance, 1 red for Underworld Breach and the sideboard Pyroblast. And it's really easy to cast because you do have 6 mana sources, land sources that tap for any colour. And then you got the Mox, you got Lotus Petal, Black Lotus. So you really do, I don't find it too difficult to be able to play balance and Underworld Breach. So this is just the win here. Like there's no real like, ooh, panic. Like, yeah, I guess I got lucky by not milling the Time Walk. But if Time Walk got milled here, you can see I could just get Breach, play Mox Pearl, play it again. Next time find the Yawgmoths. You know, Journey is probably going to be pitched by that stage. The only issue with this one, as you can see, is the Lodestone Golem is a little bit annoying because I'm going to have to spend 3 there on Time Walk. And we will DT for... We could either get Orchard here to switch on the... yeah, I was going to say we could get Orchard here to switch on the because if we get our second Runescar Demon, then we won't be able to trigger the Oath again. But to be honest, we don't need to trigger it a 3rd time, like if we're Time Walking still. So we could either get Orchard there or just like Underworld Breach or Yawgmoth's Will, and it's still going to win regardless. Because we can also Oko there and turn their Sol Ring into a creature if we want to trigger the Oath again. So I often cut Imperial Seal. It's good in game 1 just to be really, really quick. But game 2, there's a lot more hate. The game slows down a little bit, so I'm always happy to cut it. Lotus Petal, again, is something I often cut, especially when I'm bringing in Null Rod. They seem to be artifact based, so I'll add Force of Vigors. Abrupt Decay is pretty catch-all. Don't really know, I haven't seen their deck before. I mean, Lodestone Golem is pretty classic, but like I don't know exactly what they're on. So I'll usually bring in Needle if I know what I want to name. It's good. Needle's also good against Bazaar, Baghdad, and stuff like that. So we'll keep Needle in here for now. But yeah, it's a good one. Toxic Deluge, same thing. I probably won't keep it in for now. So we're definitely cutting these 2. Might cut Treasure Cruise. Might cut Show and Tell because their CMC seems to be pretty big. You know, adding a Runescar to giving them a free Lodestone. We're ahead, but we're not that far ahead. Mental Misstep's always good because there's always like Soul Rings and stuff, but if they have taxing effects, it can be pretty bad. We'll cut Probe. You know what? Actually, normally I'd cut Probe against an artifact deck, but because I'm not 100% sure, I haven't seen some of these cards before in Vintage. Like I've seen the cards, but I'm not 100% sure what they are. Same as again, I usually cut Balance against the artifact decks. Nothing wrong with cutting Preordain. Yeah, I'll just keep Probing for now, just because I'm not 100% sure what they're on. So we'll go like that. Like, I just want to see a little bit more. Like, Mindbreak Trap's really good against the outcome decks, but I'm not 100% convinced. So I'm not 100% convinced about what the sideboard should be, there's nothing really wrong with just keeping it as is. Like, the main deck's so streamlined. And I get to cast like a couple 1-drops, like because there's so many search effects with the 3 Runescar, the Seal, the Vamp, the DT. Where is it? DT. There's so many ways to search. You can search up really powerful game-changing spells like Force, Balance, Breach, Oko. There's just like such good deck choice in this list. And you can see we've got the turn 1 Oath. Part of me is tempted to Force of Vigor this. I mean, how crushing is that? Time Vault. Yeah, buddy, get it. How much do you want to just Force of Vigor that? It's pretty tempting. So what? I go Oath. They go Saga goes to 2. Then I trigger. I mean, I just win, right? It's pretty hard to say no to a win. Let's crack this for blue. Play preordain, see what we can find. Force of Will's good, but we don't actually have the blue card for it. So I'm going to bottom it. That's annoying. I guess we're all in here. We're all in. We're playing an all-in combo. We got to do it now before the Urza Saga triggers and gets the Grafdigger's Cage. So we're just going to go for it. If they've got the spot removal in the last 3 cards, they've got it. Or if they've got the Manifold Key. Oh yeah, Saga can just fight Manifold Key for the win. So yeah, it's a little bit risky, but you know, I mean that's vintage, right? And we've already pitched the Lotus, so there's no finding Lotus here to go off. We just need a green spell, essentially. So you notice the Oath still triggers, but the Grafdigger's Cage. Now, if I hit yes, I would mill a whole bunch and draw Rune's Card Demon. We don't want to draw that. Sometimes you do want to draw. Sometimes you got mana or show and tell, or you've got Treasure Cruise in hand. You just want to go for something big. So let's play this. And we'll stop them in upkeep. Making an idiot, no worries. And we've got Force for Grafdiggers, and this thing will either find Grafdiggers or the Manifold, so we'll have to hit that. Gonna make an idiot, no worries. Looks like they don't have it. And again, I mean, I don't know the maths. I've never lost after triggering Oath in playing this deck for something like 8 years, so pretty comfortable I've won. It's a fun deck as well because the lines are always different because it changes depending on what you mill. I mean, it's arbitrary what you mill here, you know? So I've milled Noxious Revival, so it's like, oh, okay, and Yawgmoth's Will. So some lines get switched on, some lines get switched off, but by and large, you just always win. There just really is no scenario that, well, technically there are scenarios where you lose, but you know, there's enjoyment in finding the line. I mean, they could have a Force of Will here. They could have drawn the Force because obviously we Force of Beckett in their upkeep. But yeah, you guys will get to see how the deck plays out. So we lose here because I cut Regrowth recently because I was just finding I was so consistent without it. We lose here if we mill Underworld Breach, but not Memory's Journey, which is like pretty unlikely, right? For that specific thing. And then we would still get a Rune Scarred. Like let's talk about that hypothetical. We would still get a Rune Scarred here, so 6/6 and a Demonic Tutor to just go like Treasure Cruise or A-Call or Oko or something. Like you can see how you just really don't lose from these positions. So what are we getting? Breach, I guess. Yep, Breach. Draw. Force of Will is pretty nice. So we'll play Breach. Play Breach. Play Black Lotus. Oko, preordain. Crack Lotus. Play Time Walk. Done. Play Time Walk again. And if they haven't seen the line, they will pretty soon. Doesn't really matter what we mill here. Like this. Time Walk again. I've lost track of how many Time Walks we've done now. I've lost track of how many, but I'm pretty confident that is enough. Kept Noxious Revival in there. It's Pretty good as well if you're gonna like mill yourself out. You can put something back on top to survive, like a Memory's Journey, because sometimes you mill. There's a line where you want to activate the Oath of Druids, and potentially risk milling yourself out. Yep. So now we just get a. So you can see this is one of those scenarios where the Memory's Journey didn't get milled. We would want it to be milled, so that we could shuffle the Time Walker back in and go again. But we've Time Walked a few times, so you can see it just doesn't matter. So yeah, we'll get. I guess it doesn't really matter. Get Force of Vigor. Another Oath of Druids. My opponent's just letting me play this out for some reason, who knows. Maybe they think I'm going to mill myself by accident. Of course, the Oath of Druids is a May trigger, so... but even if Runescar was the last card, the Memory's Journey prevents you from milling yourself out, because it flashes back from the bin. So there you have it. That's my list. That's the bit of how it plays out. My opponent's deck wasn't super strong, but I'll see you for round 2. Welcome back for match 2. It's a pretty good hand. We've got Brainstorm's really important in this deck. Of course, you can only have one copy, but yeah, it's really important to be able to shuffle away the Runes card. There's not a lot of shuffle effects because we can't play a lot of fetches because you mill so much. You don't want to have to mill all your playables and then have your fetches find nothing. I am going to lead with a turn 1 Brainstorm. Normally, I wouldn't recommend this, but it is Vintage specifically. So, in specifically Vintage, like the decks can be so powerful. And you can see here, like, this is just so good. So I can put the Runes card away and the Memory's Journey. So assuming this does resolve, which I'm skeptical of, but assuming this does resolve, I'll be able to mill the Memory's Journey, which is the perfect thing to mill, and then flip the Runes card, not anything else, and find time. It'll be game over essentially. So they didn't counter it. They could still kill it somehow, but they didn't counter it. They could also just turn 1 Tendrils me or something. But we'll see. So yeah, I think that Brainstorm was good. Yeah, it's really important to be able to get rid of the Runes cards that get stuck in your hand. So my opponent's got their own Orchard, which is pretty strong, and they got the Time Walk. And it's really interesting in these mirrors when you have the Orchard battle, and the Time Walk's so strong because it gives you an extra turn tapping with your thing, with your Orchard. But you'll notice I'm not too scared just yet. It's pretty strong for my opponent. They're up on, I guess, like 1 tempo, I suppose, but they're not actually going to be able to trigger the Oath. Okay, well now they found their second one. I was going to say they're not actually able to trigger their Oath unless something more happens, because they can give me a 1/1 and then I can always just give them a 1/1 back. The problem with that is they get to do it in the end step, or they get to use their mana at instant speed, and I have to use it at sorcery speed, which makes it a bit liable to kill spells, and just means like I have to use, like I can't spend it, in their turn when I might want to. Demotic Tutor, they're pretty strong. They found Oko, which is going to give turn my Mox, I assume, into a 3/3. So yep. So now, even if I find another Orchard, I won't be able to get out of the Oath lock. So just having a think, we'll bash the Oko now before we give them a 1/1. We essentially need to find Orchard and Time Walk. So this needs to find Time Walk, and then Time Walk find Orchard. So that's obviously going to be a shuffle. Alright, let's see what they got. This is funny, it's my Oath, so it's my trigger, so I have to put it on the stack, even though I don't want to. And yeah, remember I was saying the Atraxa decks are the first, I guess the classic mainstream Oath. But yeah, I mean, this was just a battle for Orchards. We're not completely out of it. Like I said, these decks will probably win if they flip it. Mine definitely wins. And if you got a game log, you can see exactly what they pick here. So this is what they flipped in the revealed, and this is what they chose. Force of Will, Oko, Atraxa, Trop, Mox Jet. So they're just trying to hit my lands here, hit my mana so I can't wriggle out of it, as well as giving me 1/1s or giving me creatures, which is pretty good move. We really don't have a lot of gameplay here. Probably just concede. Yeah, we'll pass turn. They'll give me some 1/1s in the end step. Put this on the stack. We got beautiful. I love these old school moxes. I really should get it. So they mill most of their deck. So they've only got 3 cards left. So this actually is kind of cool. We get a look at everything they're playing. They've got Guy's Blessing. So they've shuffled it back in. I play Memory's Journey. Guy's Blessing just shuffles everything no matter what. I like to use my graveyard for Treasure Cruise and Underworld Breach and stuff. So I prefer Journey. But yeah, you can play Blessing if you really want. But we still got to have a little look. I've never seen this card. Counter-attack an artifact, creature, or planeswalker spell. Its controller creates a 2/2. So it's like Swan Song. Except different modes. What it can target. They're playing at least 2 show and tells. Playing the full package, all 4 Oaths, all 4 Orchards, all 4 Atraxa. Clusterstorm main is good to know about. Strip Mine and Wastelands. Multiple Wastelands. Alright. We'll concede after having a little look. So it's the mirror. They probably think we're on Atraxa too. I don't mind Deluge in the mirror. They're playing plenty of blue, so we'll play that. Needle could name Oko, but we're playing our own Oko. Abrupt Decay is great for getting rid of Oko or an Oath of Druids if they're winning. I'm going to cut 2 of my Oaths. Impurity is really good for finding the Orchard. Lotus Petal I'm not a huge fan of. Show and Tell I definitely don't want. 1 Force of Vigor is pretty good, just to be able to tutor it up. But I don't really, it's not a great card in the matchup, but I like keeping 1 in just to tutor it up. They weren't really playing any graveyard strategy, so I won't put that in. So we're cutting Show and Tell, Oath. We definitely want to keep our Oko in, because there's a good chance that both of us will be too scared to play Oath of Druids. So it will rely on the mid-range strategy. Alright, we'll kick the Lotus Petal in and we'll play this. So this hand looks terrible, but we've actually got Probe to draw, Misstep to engage with them, and Force. So we've got 3 playables in this hand. And Brainstorm can tuck the Ring-Scarred. It's just not very powerful. This is a bit better. We'll keep it. Let me have a think. There is a line here where we can sink the island and play DT and balance them. What do you guys think about that? DT balance. Balance is pretty good on the play after a mull. What would we DT for? Pyroblast maybe? Yeah, DT for Pyroblast. Oh, we can't cast it. Because if we sink the island, then we only have 4 mana. And we won't have blue for Force of Will. What's good? What's good is the last card in hand? Or do we just keep DT in hand? And balance first and then DT? It's a tricky one. This is why I love Vintage. It's like a little puzzle. Could just be A-Call. We could sink this, just do A-Call. Alright, we're going to go for it. If they've got the force, they've got the force. You know. It is what it is. Yeah, let's balance first. So they have to discard 6. So we could have DT'd for land, I suppose, or sunk the what's it called? Sunk the island and sunk the DT and played land, and then they would just discard 7. So they had to force there. We could get Noxious Revival. Oh no, I was going to say Noxious Revival, put balance on top. But it's Force of Negation. Yeah, so my plan was to go Noxious Revival, put balance on top, and then balance them again. And then it's sort of like, yeah, they force, but we just reset. But specifically Force of Negation is pretty good. So I guess we just get A-Call and try to reset. I think that was a good keep, and I think it was worth going for. It's like, you can't just expect them to have Force of Will. There's a good chance, but it's sort of like we weren't doing a lot else otherwise, and we want to leverage that. We want to leverage that balance. You know, if you just get to balance, then it's dead in hand anyway. So you might as well just be mulling. Yep. So we'll play Mox. And we'll play out the Oko. Blue, green. I actually think my white is dead now that I have lost balance. But yeah, specifically Force of Negation. Like even if they had Force of Will there, we had the out in going like DT Noxious Revival, balance them, and that's just like game over for them essentially, unless they've got a handful of Moxes. So yeah, we'll keep up Pearl here with the intention that I could turn the Pearl into the 3/3. This is kind of cute. There was a while where Oath decks were playing Swan Song. If you don't know Swan Song, it's like counter instant sorcery or enchantment, I think. And they make a 2/2 for 1. So the idea is like it's a cheap counter spell, and the negative of this counter spell is typically that you give your opponent a 2/2, but obviously specifically in this list, giving them a 2/2 is good. So finding Orchard there looks pretty bad, and I'd probably rather something punchy like a Treasure Cruise or something, but it's actually not bad because there's a good chance they DT'd for Oath and Orchard, and we just kind of switch that off. Strip 9. So this will be telling if they want to strip my Orchard or not. You can see they got a lot of cards in hand. Take this stop off. Flash. Alright. Well, DT for Flash. You can see what they revealed here. It's a good chance they probably cut some Oaths themselves. So they took Show and Tell, Force of Will, Mox Emerald, Wasteland. We will bash. So they didn't take this. They didn't take Flusterstorm. They did take that. They didn't take Nature's Claim. Didn't take that. They didn't take that. They did take Mox Emerald. So they've got a Force and a Show and Tell. So this is just going to eat a Force. But whatever. It's going to eat a Force. It's going to eat a Force. Another Strict Serenade as opposed to Swan Song. It's a cute little play on words, isn't it? Swan Song. Strix is not a swan, but it's a little bird. And a serenade is close to a song. They found Wasteland. Doesn't really help them all too much. They do have the scary, I was going to say hardcast Force of Will, but we are killing them slowly. Oko's really good here for them. They can start winning the race, gaining life, making 3/3s. They probably should have made the Emerald a 3/3. Started bashing in. But yeah, we're going to start swinging the Oko. Oh, that's such a good draw. So green, blue, and 1. That's going to eat a Force, pitching Force. We're really hoping for something like Treasure Cruise here. Mox and Wasteland are both gone. So their hand is, they've only got one card left in hand. We know it's Show and Tell. Show and Tell. No way they just ripped the tracks, alright? Come on. Come on. So we'll fire it off. See what we got. Oko. Yeah, I'll take Oko. I'm not super chuffed with it, but it is like something to do on turn 3. Pitches to Force of Vigor and it pitches to Force of Will if I change my mind about wanting to pitch the Cruise. We bottomed the other thing. I think it was just a land. Preordain there, really nice. Mox Pearl, so a bit of gas. Mox Pearl would have been better to draw and then we could bust out the Oko really quick. It's not that good anymore. Vamp Tutor obviously is powerful, but... So I'm going to bottom the Mox. Problem with Vamp Tutor is I don't have either piece of the combo. If I had one piece of the combo, like the Orchard or the Oath, I could get the other one. But this would just be vamping for something gassy. So I'm actually going to bottom both. Play the Misty. And I think we'll just try to Oko next turn. Likely it'll get countered. And then we'll have a think about whether or not we actually want to fight over it. Because after fetch, Oko goes to bin. We might be getting close to cruising anyway. Psychic Frog, yes. Just coming down to a player. All players will draw a card. Discard a card to put a counter. Exile 3 cards from your bin to give him flying. So cool, man. So cool. Frog can resolve, yes. We won't fight over Frog. We'll just play the Oko, which sort of defeats it. I like this Frog though, man. So they've got to fight anyway. We'll fight it. If they hadn't played Frog, I probably would have kept the Cruise and just slowed the game down and tried to cruise that turn. But they're going to start getting value off this Frog. So we'll turn it into a 3/3. It'll bash Oko down to 2. Oko then makes a food up to 4, bashes down to 1. Then we up Oko to a 2 and make it a 3/3. On paper, the Oko beats it. It's a slow slog and it is risky. Susceptible to, another creature entering or something else I want to turn into a 3/3. But on paper, like, the Oko beats it, so, we'll play it out. We've got 4 mana here, which is pretty strong. And we just found that. I was going to say 4 mana to beat the Saga is nice. So, yeah, we'll just play the Oath out, I think. Pretty hard to argue with that. It's just a must counter or must defeat. They have to fight over it. They have to find an answer, and they're not going to find it off the Saga in time. Yep, and we get to make a food. So we're still beating the frog. So obviously we don't want to automatically just make it a food. The food into a 3/3 too soon if it's going to switch off our Oath. But you can see this is a great spot because we're sort of winning the mid-range battle and we're also winning the combo battle. And if they play other permanents, we can turn those permanents into 3/3s. Not an issue. Very happy to trade off cards. See, my opponent's just going to go for make a token, then make a token and find a Graph Diggers, or I probably won't have Graph Diggers main deck, but there you go. So that's ideal. I mean, you can see the value in Fatal. I'm not saying they're wrong, but you can see the value in Oath of Druids. Like, they've spent one of their cards to destroy another one of their cards. And a card, the 3/3 is pressuring the Oko, it wasn't doing nothing. And we get to Force of Vigor this Saga now, which is pretty good. So, yeah, I think we'll just main board. Main phase, Force of Vigor this. And then we just ride the Oko. So I'm not going to turn it into a food straight out at the food. Spell Pierce. Okay. No worries. I'm very, very happy to just keep trading off cards. Not an issue. Very happy to just keep trading off cards because that's one less Spell Pierce to interact with, like a combo finish or, something good later. I didn't really need that terribly. We're still winning. The Oko can defeat essentially, unless they're getting Lotus for some combo win, yeah. Oko's still going to defeat most of what they can do with this Saga. There you go, it's just a Soul Guide Lantern. So, yeah, we're in a pretty good spot. I mean, we could Noxious Revival there, but, I don't care. Now I probably wanted the Noxious Revival. But it's okay. They can't play other permanents because I can turn them into 3/3s and the Oath will get them. So I will play this land out, and I think I'll probably Noxious a Preordain in the next turn. I'm just wondering if I want to... No. I was thinking about turning the Soul Guide into a creature, which will force them to crack it. But I'll just keep making food for now. Getting that Oko up. Getting him up to 5 so that I can threaten the -5 on him. They've cycled the Soul Guide anyway. Yeah, I think Preordain's pretty strong here, so I like to keep Noxious if I can. There's some cool little tricks you can do with Noxious. You can interact with your opponent, which is pretty neat. But yeah, I think I'll just try to find a Preordain here. Now that the Soul Guide Lantern's gone. Oh, they're going for something. They did not want me to have a Preordain. I'm scared of that Preordain. It's a Preordain, mate. You don't have to interact with everything. I mean, I guess it sort of stops the draw. You don't have to interact with everything. I mean, a 0 mana Noxious Revival for a hardcast Force. And that... whatever. I don't think that was a great Force. Crack. Breach. Let's have a think. Breach Preordain, I guess. Yeah. Problem with Breach Preordain is we've already played a land, so we won't be able to Orchard. The Oko's still switching off the Saga. Wait one more turn. Let's just wait one more turn, I think. We'll get Oko up to 7. Yeah, I just want to be able to breach, preordain, find Orchard, and play Orchard. And honestly, I'm happy to keep trading off cards for counter spells while the Oko's still around. Because they can't play permanents that Oko can turn into 3/3s. And Oko can just like flip the switch. Like they destroy the Oath and then bang, I can like start turning my foods into 3/3s. Here we go. And you notice like they can't, it's the Oath is just like dealing with them, you know, like they can't make, they've played 2 Sagas and they haven't made a single construct, which is really like what the Saga's all about. So it's just like really I'm dealing with their cards efficiently. You know, like I'm not thinking like big picture, like, oh, I'm not triggering my Oath and stressing out. Like, what cards of theirs are they maximizing value on? A Force of Negation on a Noxious Revival. Is that like really, like, are they getting the most out of their cards? Not really. A Fatal Push on their own Psychic Frog. Are they getting great value out of those 2 cards? No. A Strip Mine when I'm inundated with Land Flood. Are they getting a lot of value out of it? No. A Urza Saga that doesn't make any constructs? No. So finally, opponent's going to be able to do something. ACOL, just a value ACOL, fair enough. So after all that, they Saga'd for Lotus, which they instantly cracked. Wasteland. I'm flooding. Hitting the Confluence here is actually kind of good for them, but they don't know that. Vamp Tutor, okay. Let's see it. I mean, they've cast Vamp Tutor and DT and ACOL in the same turn. It's pretty strong. They've got a bit of mana floating, but they could... Ooh, that's curious. They could have put Lurrus in their hand, right? Why wouldn't you put Lurrus in your hand? Got the mana. What are you keeping up? Force of Negation? Runes card. Alright. Well, this looks like a Force of Negation. Once again, I'm happy to just trade off spells. Whatever. Okay. Preordain. Pitching 1, 2, 3. Done. Bowmaster. Well, I assume they VT'd for something that beats the Oath, because obviously Bowmaster doesn't. Bowmaster gets crushed by the Oath, so they're going to have to find something. Force of Will is actually really nice. We just don't have the mana to hardcast, and we don't have the blue card. Like, I really want Counterspell here. Let's just bottom. Besiege you. Besiege is pretty good. It's not great. So I assume they looked for Wheel. It's the only thing I can think of. They must have looked for Wheel. We could exchange control. It's kind of funny. We could exchange control. I think we'll just turn it into a 3/3 so they can't wheel us to death. We're on plenty of life because we can crack a food in the end step or besiege you. And the Oko's out of range. So yeah, they're going to have to find something here. They just get Time Vault. Time Vault. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm just wondering how I want to play this. I think it doesn't actually make a difference. I might as well do it now. Yeah. I was thinking about the mana, like if I want to force them to tap, but they've got no cards in hand. They can't get to 3 with Lurrus anyway, so there's nothing they can do with the extra mana anyway. So yeah, we just trigger Oath. So we slowed that game right down. One with Oko, really nice. They're not a strictly artifact deck, but they do have Urzas and Time Vault, so Force of Vigor is really good. We've got Lurrus, so at least one Leyline's quite good. Deluge isn't great because they've got the Bowmaster Flash threat. Nullrod's very good. Abrupt Decay, I usually just always side in. They're playing Force of Vigor, Force of Negation, so Pyroblast is good. Yeah, Abrupt Decay is just always coming in most of the time. So we'll cut Seal. Just these cards aren't good against like counter spells. Cut Balance because they've got a lot of artifacts and stuff. It's pretty good, but the problem is they make a lot of their creatures in the end step with the Urzas and the Bowmaster, so the balance can just be a little slow at sorcery speed there to sweep. It's not at its best. It's pretty good, but it's not at its best. I kind of don't want Cruise against Bowmaster. Nothing wrong with cutting preordains in this list. Nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm happy with that. We've got one Leyline. Hopefully we get it in the opening hand, but if we don't, it's just like fine to switch off any sort of combo shenanigans. And yeah, this hand's obviously very good. Rune Scud can get dead in hand. It's one of the issues with this deck, but it makes it slightly worse than the Atraxa lists, because the Atraxas can search for Flash to flush this thing out. We can search for Show and Tell. Yeah, we need another blue, because obviously we don't want to be forcing pitching ACOL. So hopefully we find a blue spell for Force. We can just ACOL, DT, or find something off the ACOL and look for Oath and go from there. Yorg's obviously is part of the combo, as we know, but it's just such a fantastic card, like generating value in the late game. You know, you can just get back a land, get back a Preordain, get back a Mox, and you know, play one of the Oaths that got countered, and just so far ahead. You know, you just fall for one of them. A call. What's better, their A call or my A call? This might be crazy, but I actually like my hand outside of this. And if they have a Force here, we were never getting our A call off. And if they resolve A call, find Force, then they get the A call and they get to force our A call. So that's my logic there. It's a bit of a shame. Time Walk's probably one of the only blue cards I really don't want to pitch to Force, because it is pretty critical to the deck's combo. Once again, though, like I said, you still like worst case, you lose some of these combo cards, like you lose the Breach or something. You know, the deck doesn't fall apart. Like it's still just Oath deck finding some big 7-drop creature. So yeah, we'll DT. We'll try to find Oath. You know, ask the question. There's a good chance they'll have an answer for it, but you know, can't play in fear. Got to go for it. And if they find Saga here, it's going to be too slow for them. So Saga's not an option. Bowmaster. Okay. So I suppose they could wheel. Does wheel kill me? I take 7 from the Bowmaster and then 8, 9, which is 16. They didn't have the wheel. Pyroblast, what a good draw. What a good draw. So I don't need to orchard them. A Null, counter, artifact or enchantment. That's an old school card. A Null used to get played, counter target spell if it's blue. A Null used to get played in Vintage a lot. I haven't seen it in a while. It used to be played against like the shopped lists. I didn't know it was still playable. Very old school tech. Maybe it's good again. Or maybe it's just some old school player, I'm not sure. But whatever, we hit the Pyroblast, so we'll ask the question. My opponent didn't even let us resolve the Oath they conceded last time, so You might not know what we're on. 4 mana. Ring? The ring actually beats the oath because it says can't be targeted. At the beginning of each player's upkeep. Oh no, cruise. That player chooses target player who controls more creatures than they do. So yeah, I can't choose this player if they play the One Ring. It's funny. Oath of Druids triggers Leovold. Leovold says, if you get targeted, you draw a card. It actually triggers it. So there you go, 2-1. See you in the next one. Hello and welcome to round 4. Seems okay. We've got Misstep, Show and Tell. It's obviously pretty dead without the runes scarred, but I just like having one copy in the list. Like I said, there's so many tutor effects, and sometimes the runes card gets stuck in your hand, and you can DT for Show and Tell to sort of switch the hand on. My opponent's got Chancellor of the Annex. Which usually is either some sort of reanimate list or mono white. Most likely it's going to be mono white initiative aggro. So yeah, we'll keep up the misstep here by being able to pay for 1, or next turn just go ponder and pay for an extra 1. So Mox Pearl, pretty good start for them if they are on the mono white list. That's a Wasteland. If I was them, I'd probably Wasteland here. Especially since you got the Chancellor. So we're just going to ponder. It's a good chance. I'm really surprised they didn't Wasteland. Maybe they're short on mana or something. Well, Time Walk's pretty good. And I think Land is pretty good. So we're going to keep it. Because I'm expecting the Wasteland. We can Vampiric Tutor in the upkeep if we want. Well, more likely we'll Vampiric Tutor next turn after drawing Time Walk. So yeah, I think Cavern Archon. So it's going to be that 3 mana Archon that says we can only cast 1 spell a turn. That's the one. And lands enter tapped. So yeah, it is that mono white initiative deck. 1 spell a turn, you reckon? One spell a turn. Let's go Brainstorm. A little bit of thought went into this Brainstorm. If I find Force, I want to be able to Force because it's only 1 spell a turn, so I don't want to Brainstorm try to find Force or something. And then not be able to Force because of the Archon. We don't really need Yorks this early. And we don't need this. I guess we can Force. So we can keep the worst blue spell because we're going to Force it. And we want to keep Vampiric. I suppose we actually... Oh, this is tough. So my assumption is I want to keep on Misstep, Force of Vigor, Force of Will, and Vampiric and Misstep. I can't do all of them. I have to choose. So it's definitely York Will. It's definitely York Will. Let's sink the Misstep, I guess. Misstep's not great. And then we'll Vampiric in the end step. And try to find Oath of Druids. Yeah, keeping the Show and Tell because it's so bad, it's just such an easy pitch to Force. They've got the Cavern, so Force isn't great, so I don't want to just be relying on Force this turn. I want to actually do something. So that's what the Vampiric's for. Oko is really good. And this is naming Archon, so we can Force this. Nice, easy Force. We won't be able to cast the Vampiric now. That's okay. Yeah. Sometimes Mutter glitches, so I thought I'd just give it a crack. We don't need to go for the combo while we're winning the fair game. almost wish Time Walk was instant speed. I could do it in their turn at the end step, so that I could vampiric, so I could split them up. Do I just want to OK? OK's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's go. Like OK Time Walk's pretty strong regardless, right? So I could turn that into a 3/3, but we're not playing a spell this turn anyway, and we're not playing land, so we might as well wait one more turn. It's not really even switching us off completely. It's annoying, but it's not like backbreaking. So yeah, we'll just wait. And yeah, who knows? Who knows? Okay, Time Walk might just be good enough to win anyway. So they take the initiative. We could turn the food into a 3/3 off of the trade with the White Plume. We do have one basic island, so we can get island. And they're bashing OK, that makes sense. I think we'll just uptick on food, offer the trade, and then Time Walk. So offer the trade. I suppose they could have swords or something here. We're just sort of bleeding out their hand a little bit though. Takes it. Wow. Gives me initiative. Very surprised by that. Because that stops them being able to forge in their turn. Put 5 on this and then they can go bash 5 at OK. And we get a land drop, a basic land drop. And I'm pretty sure this is non-basics. Yep, so we can play this basic. And yeah, I don't know what to say. This is pretty damn strong. It's pretty strong. I think Time Walk's just like quite good, right? We can forge onto this thing. They're scooping. Surely. Okay. Alright. Forge onto the food. Sure, White Plume trigger resolves. Forge. I mean, we could lost. We're in a combo deck, so like scrying is good, but why scry when we can just win the traditional way? 5. This is one problem is they can double block. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with double block. Or just turn Arc. Yeah, let's swing. I was having a think there about if I want to turn Archon into a 3/3. We're going to bash. I'm very happy to trade Archon and the food. Bang, they take 5. Now we can turn Archon into an idiot. Play Mox Pearl. Play Yorks. Time Walk. Bang. Could have got greedy there and tried to ponder first to hit land drop. Trap. Bang. Now we're presenting lethal. Exchange control target artifact or creature you control and target creature an opponent controls. So we could tap this, exchange control. That's pretty good. Play another Oko. Oh yeah. Bash for 5. They trade. Oh, jump. So now we're playing a combo deck and they're jumping against us. This is what I mean by the Oko. Like, it's just this alternate sort of win con. You know, it's just you can just mid-range people with it because a lot of the cards in your hand is ponders, brainstorms, force of will. Like there's not kill spells, so it's not fantastic at it. But just having 4 Okos in your deck, they pitched a force of vigor, they pitched a force of will. Like I said, they switch on your combo by turning artifacts into critters. They deal with sideboard cards. They just do it all really. And yeah, like we're mid-ranging here. We certainly could have gone for the combo. I just felt like we can mid-range them though, and the Vamp Tutor just lets us combo at any time, right? So I might even Vamp in the end step here, just cause. Let's see. Vamp Tutor. I don't even know what we're getting. Oath. There's no Time Walk anymore. Acol. Probably just Oath. I just don't want to lose to Bash Trap. Because this thing bashes, gets protection from creatures. And then trap, so we'd actually get a 1. So if they're able to do something else, we'd be in a spot of bother. I suppose we can balance. So force is actually bad because we can't lose the life. That's kind of funny. Treasure Cruise is pretty good. But what are we hoping to draw off the Treasure Cruise? It's a tricky one. Maybe it is just force of will. I think it is just force. Alright. So we'll turn this thing into a 3-3. It gets 2 counters. But obviously we've still got the 5-5. So we can still offer a trade. And if they didn't accept the trade, we could untap with the white plume there. So we're actually doing okay. And I think this is a good spot. We've still got Oko. We've got the board. We should have swung the white plume to get initiative. Whatever. We can gain some life off the food token. We can force, and we can misstep, and we can hardcast Force of Vigor. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable about the position. It was kind of fun committing to the mid-range game plan. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They can Chancellor of Annex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, and they have 3 white because we gave them Pearl exactly. It's kind of funny. But if they Chancellor, well, first of all, Oko just crushes it. I mean, that's why Oko's so good, right? We can just Oko it and swing. But yeah, we'll probably force it. They've got nothing else going on, right? Assuming that's what they want to do. Archon. Archon, okay, sure. Can't force that, yeah. No worries. Yeah. I think their problem is the Ancient Tomb takes them to 5. So this is super risky. Because then they die to Oko, Animator, 3-3, bash both, and they lose to like Abruptic or something. I mean, they don't know. They don't even know what we're on. Did they even see an Orchard or a Oath? I don't think they did. For all they know, we're on bug control. So yeah, Deluge is good. Abruptic is good. The Force of Vigor was dead in hand all game, wasn't it? I was going to say, these decks often run like Urz's, but it was kind of dead in hand. We'll cut the seal. So actually I go to cut. Show and Tell's okay, it's not great. Might cut the Show and Tell. Keep 1 Force of Vigor in there. That was fun. That was a fun, different way to win, wasn't it?
This hand is pretty good. You got to be careful though. These decks are actually really strong. These mono white lists, I really like them. You know, they can just get like an early Thalia or Archon out and just like tax what would be an otherwise cool hand. And we've got like quite land heavy. Like yeah, we got Moxes, but it's actually not that good. RuneScarred's kind of dead, especially after we cut Show and Tell. And the Moxes and 3 lands is artifacts your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Pay white to blow your Moxens. Sure. Alright, or I call now, get under the taxes. Oath. Ooh, and balance. Part of me wants to balance. Okay, so these guys are going to enter tapped. Yeah, sure. Well, here's my logic. I understand this is designed to beat the Moxen. We'd be discarding Dazzlers anyway if we didn't play them out. They played Cavern of Souls and Mox. So this actually costs 1 white, which actually might switch off their white. So you can see here it switches us off a 3-drop, which is like Archon or something. Yeah, and there you go. So they weren't able to do it. Because, they should have... No, they messed up. This is human, and Containment is human. So they could have tapped Cavern and Mox and kept up white there. So they actually messed that up. I was going to say, you can see how it just kind of messes with their mana a little bit. Anyway, Oath of Druids is pretty strong Magic the Gathering card, isn't it? So they knew we're on Oath because they have Containment Priest. Yeah, it's a pretty strong Magic the Gathering card, right? Like, yeah, it's pretty good. So we're playing that Mox out because we're going to balance, because obviously Containment Priest beats the Oath. So choose 3 cards in hand, discard the rest. Well, we'll keep Ponder, keep Besiege You, and we'll keep RuneScarred. And we'll bin the Journey, which doesn't make a difference at all. It's pretty good. We discard one card which has flashback, and we keep the Ponder. So now they're in this weird spot where it's like, unless it's another Containment Priest, they can't really play creatures into it. They didn't get to do this Dauntless Dismantler guy against us, which, to be honest, they should have. So just so you guys are aware, the Oath I can trigger here, and if I want, I can fill the bin up, and then the RuneScarred goes to exile, which actually isn't bad. So if you have like Cruise and Yawgmoths in hand, like you're like, yeah, sweet. Let's do it. Fill the bin up, exile one of the RuneScarreds, Yawgmoths win. But we don't have any of those cards in hand, and we've got one of the... You can definitely get rid of like one of the RuneScarreds, but because we've got this other one in hand, I just don't want to run out of RuneScarreds, run out of gas. So you can see there now, we'll probably do it next turn because we've got the Breach. And this is non-token creatures, so we can still Breach away, right? So yeah, we'll Ponder here. We can even hardcast RuneScarred soon, right? Oh god. That goes pretty much what we want to see. Don't really want to see the lands after it. Use Ponder's ability. No. We don't really want to see the other lands, but we want to keep the red for Breach, I guess. But yeah, we just want to see this card so bad. So yeah, we'll turn this idiot into a 3/3. And like I said, you can see how the Oko just... Like, even if we weren't switching off the Priest there, we could turn the Mox Pearl into a 3/3. Now a 3/3 is beating their 2/2 and just try to win a fair game. But you can also see how integral this Oko is. Like, it turns their sideboard cards into Elks. So now we're going to trigger Oath. And even if they had another Containment Priest, we could mill and Breach and just win that way. Like, it's not a win-win, but it's probably a win. I mean, we get to balance and stuff. Like, yeah, so you can just, like, there's just so many avenues we could win. You know, we could play the Besiege You out and go, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 off Besiege You, and we find a land drop and we can hardcast RuneScarred. So you can see there's just, like, so many outs to like victory here. There's so many avenues to go. So Time Walk's in the bin, which means I need to put a stop on my upkeep. Search up Noxious Revival. Noxious in hand. Put Time Walk on top. Draw the Time Walk. Turn this into 3/3 so that we can cast an extra spell. Play the Time Walk. Now play this land out. Go to the next turn. Trigger again. Mill a whole bunch of stuff. Doesn't really matter. So you might think I skipped through that because I have the Journey in the bin, and maybe I wanted to go Journey, shuffle the Time Walk back in. Wasn't a misplay because I can just breach here. So I can breach, play out the Lotus, Time Walk, Time Walk, Time Walk, Time Walk. And they see the line. Another win. Okay, final round. Final round. This hand's pretty much a throw. Just doesn't do anything. This hand's also very bad. Do I want to go to 5? I think I do. This hand's keep. We'll throw Runescarred and breach away. Play lands. And yeah, I think I'll play the Jet out. I think there's like more twister effects now with Bowmaster, Shieldred, Leovold. I think there's slightly more twisters going around these days in Vintage. So yeah, like you multi 5, you know, Vintage. If any format can bounce back from a while, it's Vintage, but still hurts. Land here, and we got Oko with a Force Will back up, and we're looking real sweet. So we can just ask the question, you know, you got it? Could double Force or 4 spell piece or something. I think in that last game when I was talking about my opponent siding in Contemporaries, this is pretty good siding from them. They didn't see any Oath cards, but they did see Mana Confluence, and a control deck wouldn't be playing Mana Confluence, so that's why they made that choice. So that was a good play. Sing Panman, I've played against a few times before. Pretty strong player. Crypt. Vintage community can sometimes be really small. You get some really cool events and like get it, you know, almost 1,000 people playing in it online, but you know, there's a difference between Vintage and Pioneer these days. Alright, what do we got? Tidebinder. So they want to counter my Oko's ability and essentially switch off. I mean, we're all in on Oko, right? So let's just do it. We're all in on Oko. It's kind of patient from my opponent there. I think they... Oh, okay. I was going to say there's a chance they actually have a counter spell and just didn't counter the Oko because they thought the Tidebinder lines up well against it. I don't know if you've seen this card. It's kind of cool. It's like a stifle effect that locks out the thing you stifle as long as this card's in play. And it's a random 3/2 flash. Ponder. Ponder's nice. Happy to see Ponder. Hullbreacher? I'm going to see Hullbreacher right now. Do they have Bowmasters and they realise they don't have black? Missed it. Okay. We're going aggro. We're going aggro. 6. So it's not. I mean, this is a multi 5 on the play, right? So like, you can't expect to win it, and I don't think we're going to win. Like, it's more likely my opponent will probably find something to answer this. But you got, you know, credit where it's due. You know, we're applying 6 damage here. They did have Hullbreacher. Yeah, credit where it's due. You know, we're applying 6 damage. You know, threatening lethal. There you go. Next turn, threatening lethal with Crypt. It's particularly good against Crypt because they're going to have to find answers. And bang, we got him. Look at that. So they are playing a Wheels deck by the looks of it. We'll put Pyroblast in. You know, I love my Abrupt Decay catch-all. It's just so good when you tutor, like, it's always just like, oh, I really want this, but I'm worried about Counterspell, and they hardly ever Counterspell the tutor, and you just get to find this and like, hit your Time Vault, hit your whatever, you know, just hit your Graph Digger's Cage. It's just really good. I like to keep one Force in, cut the Seal against the Counterspell decks, and we'll cut Lotus Petal. Just wondering, most of these decks, the Wheels decks, have some sort of interaction. So I do like a one ley line. Cut an Oko because it's not great against the flash creatures. Like, you can't turn them into 3/3s. They bash the Oko for 3, then you want to turn it into a 3/3, but then if you do, Oko goes up to 5, then they bash Oko and kill it. Just doesn't line up very well. Sounds quite good. Noxious Revival, we didn't really get to see its full power this series, but it's really much better than you think. Like, it's obviously one of the combo pieces. The fact that it costs 0 mana is really good. And then randomly you can just go like A-Hole and then like Noxious Revival A-Hole or something. Or Noxious Revival your opponent's fetch land to put it back on top so that they whiff the next draw. Like, it's surprisingly good. So they're playing Wasteland, so we need to think about that. Part of me wants to... I would think about playing the Orchard to switch on Pyroblast. But opponent is on Wasteland. So... Oh, that's good. I didn't want them to waste in the end step because I want to A-Call in their turn. Because if I A-Call to my turn, I'd have to discard to hand size. So I want to A-Call in their turn. So that's nice. This card's cool. Whenever a player casts a spell with no mana spent to cast it, counter that spell. So you get to... It's kind of like Null Roller. You get to play out all your Moxens in turn 1 and then play this, and then their Moxens are switched off. Expecting a counter spell here. I could go to my turn and Pyroblast, but I don't want to go to... I want to be able to discard to hand size. Hardcast Force, fine with that. Hull Bridge, not fine with that. That's pretty brutal. It's pretty good. I was going to say, I'm happy with a counter spell there because... yikes. I'm happy with the counter spell there. Maybe I should have played Orchard for Pyroblast. Yeah, it was a misplay. See, that's the thing. You make a mistake. I mean, we can call that a mistake. It might not be a mistake. In hindsight, it probably was. But regardless, you make a mistake. And then you kind of like, at least I find sometimes I let it rush me through the next bit. I need to just stop and take my time. Oof, Wasteland. Okay. Sacrifice can't take non-creature spell unless it's control of his one. Okay. Alright, we'll play this. Yeah, that A-Call counter was pretty brutal. I thought it might have been Force. So we'll do this. Will we? No, we'll wait. We'll pay the 1. Time up. They're whiffing on lands. They could have a handful of Moxens that... Oh, of course, they couldn't... Yeah, this you can't force with this. Alright, so we're going to do this. Destroy target permanent, provided that it is blue. And they can make us pay 1, but they can't make us pay 2 without sacrificing the Hull Breacher. That switches on our preordain. Maybe we should have done it main phase so that we could preordain. So we could preordain like now, you know, because they're not going to do it. They're not going to sack. So that was another little misplay. Got to shake it off. Shake it off. Can't Noxious there because of the Vexing Bauble. Preordain now. Bottom. Top. I think we can go to 7. Found Island. Kind of just want to Oko Time Walk. There's no point time walking without something out. Ooh, what do you name here? Oko? If they name Oko, I'll probably Noxious Acor. Oko. Let's have a think. Noxious Acor? Yeah, let's do it. If they've got another Hull Breacher, I mean, they could just have played it and killed us earlier, so whatever. So these Okos are pretty well switched off. Okay, cool. Well, found the Oath. Annul. Annul's back in the meta. So we can go Time Walk, then hopefully Yawgmoth's land drop Time Walk Oath. Pretty strong. Pretty strong. Yeah. Alright. Time Walk. Land drop. Don't want to just throw away the Oko into nothing because this does hurt us. The Confluence. A Yorks. They're thinking about it. Okay. We'll play a land. So we can Oath. Oath doesn't work. So annoying. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Do we have anything post? No. Oath doesn't work. We need to hit like a Core Lotus. 1 life off. Alright, well, Acor. That's a pretty good draw. Oh, the Vexing. I was going to say, that lets us play around the sacrifice. Bummer. Yeah, so they can counter target non-creature spell unless we pay 1. So brutal. That. Yeah, we shouldn't have played the Mox Ruby. That was a misplay. Because even if it's dead in hand, we could play it next turn and add to our cruise. And then we get to have an extra land in the card in the bin to cruise. But we actually survive. Okay, well, not anymore. But we actually survive there, and then we could untap and cruise, decay, maybe stabilize. We got kind of close there, didn't we? 1 life off going Oath, and 1 mana off going Oath and Time Walk. So we were close. Pretty happy with this. I don't think we need to care too much about that. We'll definitely play Deluge, because they seem to be on more merfolk, more creature. And cut Preordain, I guess. Since they're playing Hull Breacher. It's pretty bad. The things that are going for this is obviously turn 1 Oath. It's a pretty big one. Even though it's very land heavy, it's not a good hand, but it has this like, hey, we might just win the game. And also Besiege you can sort of turn into a spell, and Waterlogged Grove can cycle. So even though it is kind of land heavy, we've still got a good chance to win. Look at that, we won. There you go. So we went 4-1, which was a great result. A bit unlucky on that opponent ripping the Atraxa with Show and Tell on hand, but that's vintage, that's magic. We got plenty of good luck as well. And I had a ball, and I hope you really enjoyed the games and enjoyed the list. It's my absolute favourite deck to play in Magic, so thanks again.